Hi, I'm Jane Butel, and I really truly believe that in Southwestern cooking, there's never a dull veggie. And this is one of my favorites. It's actually a native favorite. The Pueblo Indians here in New Mexico prepare this dish, which we call Calabacitias, really quite frequently. The word Calabacitias really refers to the zucchini, or actually they have a native wild version of the squash that grows, just grows wild here. I've melted some butter to start with, and I always like to use the unsalted butter. And now I'm going to add chopped Spanish onion. I always like to select the Spanish onion for most of these dishes because they do have a nice strong flavor that stands up to the other strong spices and chilies and whatnot. So I'm adding now the fresh garlic, and this will just kind of sizzle a bit, and I want to cook it until the onion becomes clear. And while this onion is cooking, I just like to show you the way we like to cut the Calabacitias or zucchini, or you can just say squash. Instead of just cutting it just, round, I think it's a little more fun to cut it at an angle, and you just go like this. And you can make it as angular or as kind of roundish angle as you prefer. And you want to slice it fairly thinly because we're going to be steaming them. You can, sometimes if you wish, you can actually cook them a lot longer and brown them before you steam them. I just want to make sure this onion is cooking evenly, and I don't want to stir it too often, just every once in a while. Whenever I'm making these Calabacitias, I'm reminded of the fact that as a child growing up, we always thought one of the celebrations of midsummer was the first harvest of green chili, and also as the first harvest of all these other things. The first tomatoes were ripe, and the first green chilies were coming off the plants, and we'd take Calabacitias like I'm making today, and we make a main dish out of it by just adding cheese, a crust of cheese, and some browned like round steak to it. I think the squash are now steamed enough, so I'm going to add these rather thinly sliced pieces of zucchini. And the zucchini is fresh. And tomato, fresh tomato that has been cubed. It's also been peeled. Because if you don't peel it, you'll have those little floating pieces of skin. And green chili. Now, this green chili could be, it's fresh green chili, but it could have been frozen. It could be canned. We just cut it in little strips, little rajas sometimes you call them. And that piece of green chili doesn't want to get in the pot. And then the next thing I like to add is a little bit of salt and some black pepper. And let this steam away for about 10 minutes. But I'd like to just pass on a hint, because if you like milder green chilies, you'll always want to select the green chilies that have the broader shoulders and the blunter tip if you're using the fresh green chilies. And if you want a hotter green chili, you always want the one with the more narrow shoulders and the real pointed tip. So you might want to remember that when you're selecting fresh green chilies. Now we're just going to let this steam for about 10 minutes. But while that's steaming, I'd like to show you a Calabacitias dish that's completely done except for the last minute garnish. I've prepared it here, and it's steamed. You can see that the vegetables just kind of become kind of soft looking. You don't want to cook it so long that the zucchini actually just falls apart. And an optional garnish is the sour cream and cilantro, but I just want to add a little bit more cheese. And it's pretty hot, so it'll kind of melt in. And it's really up to you if you want to bubble this a little bit and turn the cheese brown. That's something you could do. And this is optional, the sour cream with the cilantro. But I think it gives it just a little bit of color, and the flavor is wonderful. And there you can see, that's Calabacitias. And Calabacitias could be served year-round.